Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another interesting episode of Straight Up with Ethel. On the show, we delve into matters that are hardly discussed in the Christendom. Today, we have an interesting topic that you do not want to miss. And like always, I have the right guest to make justice or give justice to these topics. We'll take a short break, and when we return, you meet my guest and I'll introduce you to the topic. Stay with us, we will be right back. Welcome back. I'm sure you have told everyone around you that Straight Up with Ethel is up. I told you today we have an interesting conversation. Trust me, you do not want to miss a bit of this. We have a special guest in the house to make justice. Before I tell you about the topic, I'd like him to introduce himself. Welcome, sir. It's so good to have you. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Oh, you sound like you are. Anyway, so I'll let you just introduce yourself to the audience. I'm sure they want to know who you are, what you do, and just everything about you. So please, do us the honor.
That's good. All right. My name is Comrade Obinna. I like to go by the title Comrade because I am a human rights activist and a social commentator. Thank you.
Amazing. Talking about human rights activists, we'll be having a conversation today about divorce from the perspective of a Christian, right? Is divorce right? Should Christians get divorced? What are the extreme situations where we have Christians are permitted to get divorce? We're talking everything surrounding divorce now. Comrade Obinna. Amazing. I like the fact that you are a human rights activist. So yes, I'm going to get to, and you're a Christian as well. I would believe so. Very committed, right? In your place of worship or generally as a Christian. So that gives us an amazing base for our conversation today. Now, first off, how would you define divorce? It's self-explanatory, but I believe that some persons they just know what they see outside there. So what would your explanation be about divorce today? Tell us.
Divorce in a very simple manner or simple response would be that the legal separation or the solution of a legal marriage, as simple as that. And we should understand that.
Did you say the solution?
The solution.
The solution to dissolution. Okay, exactly. The dissolution.
The solution of a legal marriage, that is divorce. And we should also understand that there's a difference between legally married couple and cohabiting couples. So it's only the legally married couples that can seek for divorce.
Okay. So there are people who just cohabit, but they believe they are couples already. The fact that they cohabit, are they couples?
They are couples, but illegal couples.
Illegal. So they can actually just move on with their lives, regardless of whatever they believe they are. So quickly, we've had situations where Christians stay in marriages, okay, because they want to uphold their faith in the marriage. They don't want to come out. What case really would you say is an extreme case for a Christian to actually seek for divorce?
Okay. Essentially, Christians are not permitted to go for divorce.
Christians are not permitted?
Are not permitted biblically, except on a certain ground.
Do you have any scripture or reference to that effect?
Yes, exactly. If you should go to the book of Matthew, 19 verse 6, starting from verse 5.
Okay.
Right? So, Christ himself, who instituted the institution of marriage, said, except for immorality, or that's infidelity, nobody or no man is authorized to divorce his wife. So you can see that you are not allowed as a Christian to divorce your wife or to move for divorce. But they are extremely...
You said Matthew what?
Matthew 19 verse 6.
So this is the Amplified Classic. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let no man put asunder. That means let no man separate. Okay? So Christians are not allowed to be separated because God has joined them together.
That's exactly.
So on what grounds do they get divorced?
Okay. So like I told you, the Christians ordinarily are not supposed to be divorced. And the church itself that brought them together or that established the union does not have any ground for separating them or for divorcing or allowing them to divorce. But what the church does is that in extremely rare situations where the man happens to be a woman abuser or a batterer, the woman is going through a lot in the marriage, it's become toxic. So the church will invite the couple for counseling. And in the process of counseling, they will know if the couple can actually live together in peace without either of the couples harming the other or causing serious issues.
Okay.
Right? So that is one. And the other ground for separation, because the church usually does not allow divorce. Instead, they call for separation, and that separation can eventually lead to divorce actually.
Okay.
But they don't usually make divorce enticing. So they can ask you to separate for some time to see if you can actually have those issues that you initially were not able to tolerate, if there could be changes that could now make you to come together and continue in the marriage.
Amazing.
Yes.
As a human rights activist yourself, have you ever dealt with situations of divorce like this, or have to, encourage a Christian woman or man to go for divorce?
Okay.
Maybe you have a personal story you want to tell.
Well, as a human rights activist, by my training, I am not a lawyer, but I also have what they call paralegal training. You must have sort of knowledge of what the law says and all that, so that you can counsel people, you can help them out of problem and to get justice.
Yeah.
So in this case, if somebody, or let's use a woman, a married woman who has a problem in her marriage and comes to complain to us. So usually what we do, or what I do personally, is to try and find out the origin of the problem. If it's something that can be solved after counseling or after bringing the both of you and listening to each party and trying to bring you back together again, that if the matter is something that can be resolved by myself or my organization, but then where the misunderstanding has gone so extreme, so it becomes difficult for a human rights activist to be the one to intervene. So as what you do is to counsel the woman to seek for a marriage lawyer or to approach the high court, because only the high courts in Nigeria that can dissolve illegal marriage, right? So like you said, or like you inquired, being a Christian, if I would suggest or recommend for divorce. The fact is that there are instances, now I'm talking not on the basis of my faith, but as an individual.
Okay.
I wouldn't want a situation whereby I watch a woman being battered by her husband, or being neglected, or being mistreated, just because you want to endure the marriage, because the church has said you must not divorce. So what I would say is go for separation. Of course, the separation can easily lead to divorce, and such a divorce is justifiable.
Such a divorce is justifiable. You've made certain statements about 2 or 3 times now. You've made a statement like the church does not support divorce? I don't know. Maybe I don't think it has been outrightly said by any church that they do not support divorce. Or have you heard any church outrightly say that?
Okay. I didn't really want to make mention of certain denominations.
No, you don't have to.
I belong to a denomination as well, but I'm only talking generally speaking as it pertains to Christianity.
Okay.
Right? Divorce really is not permitted because what is the manual or the constitution with which the church operates is the Bible. So the Bible has said no divorce, except if it has to do with infidelity. They didn't talk about maybe having incompatibility.
So the Bible only supports divorce in a case of infidelity, but not in the case of battering.
Not really. Not really.
So how do you explain a woman who is being battered, and sometimes even the men are being abused, right? They are being violated in one way or another. How do you explain them sticking with their faith or the scripture when they say, the scripture does not support me leaving my husband, even though he wants to kill me, I'd rather die inside here than leave? How do you think, how do you bring that to them? How do you make them leave? Regardless of what the scripture says.
Okay. So the thing here is that essentially, as a human rights activist, we are in this, the human rights activism is a voluntary kind of association or advocacy which you believe you can function there. So as a human rights activist, we are trained to be empathetic to those whose rights have been trampled upon. So if a woman's rights, because a woman has got rights even in her marriage, in her husband's house, so if her rights have been trampled upon, there is nothing wrong in seeking redress. And in seeking redress, we have to balance it between the Christian faith and the secular, what the law says in a secular ground, so to speak, right? So if I notice a woman, or I get a complaint of a woman going through battery or having issues in her marriage, I as an individual have the right and the obligation to help her get justice. And justice can be gotten either by way of asking her to temporarily leave the marriage, right? Or that is when there is extremely difficult situation. So I can also ask her to go for divorce. And in going for divorce, I'll make sure that all the grounds for divorce have been satisfied, right? So I cannot let a woman who is suffering or whose life is endangered on a daily basis to remain in such a marriage. No.
Amazing. What role do you believe prayer plays in the process of divorce and healing?
Right. Prayer, or the role of prayer cannot be overemphasized. Prayer does a lot, especially for those of us that are Christians. We can talk from experience because we've been praying. That's what we were brought up doing, or to see our parents do, and the church has also laid that foundation. So prayer has also done a lot in terms of healing when they have issues of separation or divorce. Prayer is very essential because apart from getting a counsel, it is only prayer that can help you to heal fast. So prayer is very essential.
So regardless of the situation, a couple or the wife or the wife or the husband is going through, prayer is very essential So it plays a very huge role. Now, do you think the church should support individuals going through a divorce?
Okay. Well, this is a sweeping statement, whether the church should support individuals going into divorce. Okay. Well, you see, the church has a principle. The church has a procedure for everything, for every activity or what have you in the church. So the church would not want to start a thing they cannot continue, or they wouldn't want to be biased, asking Mr. A to go this route and Mr. B shouldn't. So if the church says they are supporting an individual to go for divorce, right? The church will have a lot of questions to answer, because the church has made it a thing that looks like a taboo. So why would the church now make a 360-degree turn to say we can actually support you? If the church must do that, it's going to be technically done, right? It's not going to be done openly.
It won't be done openly?
Yes.
Okay, now this is a case of the couple,
Yeah.
they're already going through the divorce process.
Okay.
So how does the church support them in that process?
Okay. Well, like I said, the church must not be seen to be biased. The church is supposed to be a place where all the members' well-being or welfare are protected. Whatever that concerns them should be protected by the church. So the church naturally should have empathy for a couple that is going through a divorce process. So the church will have to play its own role, right? And this role can be a form of counseling, and beyond the counseling, because why I'm always making reference to the church, not going further or going forward to support these couples, is because, like I said, despite the fact that you have been joined by the church, like you have the white wedding, it is only the High Court or the High Court in the FCT or the State High Court that can cause a divorce to happen. So whatever the church is doing, so it will be difficult for a church to now encourage or to go with a couple to court, because church will always disapprove anybody going to the court. They want the church to settle whatever matter they will have. So that is the thing that makes it so complicated. But that is not to say that the church will not support them. The church will support them in various ways, right? Materially, emotionally, and otherwise.
Agree with me that this topic is very sensitive, and with the way I guess she's responding, he's trying not to step on anybody's toes. We'll take a short break right now. When we return, we'll get into the next level of this conversation. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We are still here straight up with Ethel, and I'm still your wonderful host, Ethel D Voice. I still have with me here in the studio Comrade Obina. Amazing. And we are still dealing with the topic of divorce from the perspective of a Christian. Now, quickly, I have a couple more questions for you and we will be done. Now, how can, or rather, what do you think are the most common misconceptions about divorce in Christian circles?
Okay. So most Christians, because of what I would refer to as indoctrination, believe that divorce is a taboo. Divorce shouldn't be mentioned within the Christendom or within the church. And the reason is because they believe that divorce can stigmatize the one who is divorced. Divorce can also cause a whole lot of issues, right? And they also believe that in going for divorce, it means that one's faith is not strong enough. One doesn't have the capacity to endure his or her marriage. So that's the problem.
Those are strong misconceptions, if you ask me. Now, what advice would you give to someone struggling with the decision to divorce? I mean, considering all the misconceptions already, what advice would you give to someone struggling with the decision to divorce?
Okay. So, it's important that I get to know the background information leading to the divorce, or what is motivating the individual that wants to go the way of divorce, right? So before one starts to complain or to contemplate divorce, there must be some issues which one finds difficult to bear in a marriage, especially when the marriage is toxic. And beyond being toxic, there are other issues too. There could be financial problems in marriages. And so if I have such a one, I think I'll start by asking the person the options available, right? When you leave the marriage, what are you likely to face out there? And when you stay back, what is the likelihood that you're going to enjoy the marriage, or that things are going to improve? So it is on that premise that I will know how to advise you properly. But the fact is that if it has become inevitable that you're going into marriage, remember to pray about it. Remember also to seek for counseling from either friends or professionals in that field. So by so doing, you're going to get a lot of help.
This has been very interesting with our guest here, Comrade Obinna. I have a lot of questions, and you would agree with me that we have not done as much justice as we ought to with this topic, because it's really very sensitive, and I know a lot of people have questions in their hearts concerning divorce, especially if you're going through one at the moment. I really sometimes it's not a pity, sometimes it's a pity. You know, depends on the stance. If it was a battering situation, violent situation, then it's a thing of joy that you're leaving. But if it's not, and it's something very flimsy that good communication skill can actually fix, then that would be a pity. Because, but I'm with you regardless. We'll still have a part 2, and I want you to look out for it. Yeah, but until then, ensure that you follow us on all our social media handles, on all platforms. Please check it out on your screen right now and follow. Turn on post notification. And I'm your host, Ethel, the Voice. Until I come your way again, please develop good communication skill. Bye.